In this podcast episode, Lee Cronin challenges the traditional interpretation of the Fermi Paradox, which posits that because we have not seen evidence of alien life, it must not exist. He argues that this paradox is built on a false premise, the assumption that we know what life looks like and how to recognize it. According to Cronin, the reason we haven't detected extraterrestrial life is not because it isn't there, but because we lack the proper framework and tools to identify it. He emphasizes that life elsewhere may not resemble the carbon-based life we know on Earth, and our methods of detection are limited by our own biological and technological biases. Cronin suggests that the universe is likely teeming with life, given that most stars have multiple planets orbiting them, many of which could harbor life under the right conditions. He stresses that life is a natural outcome when energy and chemistry interact over time with selection processes at play. The failure to recognize alien life may stem from our narrow definitions and expectations, and he encourages a broader, more imaginative approach to astrobiology that goes beyond looking for Earth-like biosignatures. A central theme in Cronin's discussion is the possibility that life elsewhere in the universe may not be carbon-based. While carbon is the foundation of life on Earth due to its unique chemical versatility and the planet's specific conditions, Cronin invites us to imagine life forms based on other elements, such as silicon. He points out that Earth itself is a carbon-based life form with silicon-based technology, and it is conceivable that on other planets, silicon-based life could exist with carbon-based technology. This idea requires a significant leap of imagination because silicon chemistry behaves differently from carbon, especially under Earth-like conditions. However, in different planetary environments, perhaps hotter or with different atmospheric compositions, silicon could form the backbone of complex life. Cronin's vision expands the search for life to include forms and chemistries that challenge our Earth-centric assumptions, urging scientists to develop new detection methods that can identify complexity and life signatures beyond familiar molecules. Cronin introduces a novel perspective on the origin of life by framing selection as a fundamental force in the universe, akin to gravity. He explains that just as gravity drives the formation of stars by pulling hydrogen atoms together, selection drives the formation of complex matter and life by favoring structures that persist and replicate in dynamic environments. This process of selection occurs even before biology, in the realm of chemistry and physics, where matter transitions from disordered to ordered states. This concept reframes the origin of life as a natural consequence of matter interacting under selection pressures, rather than a miraculous or purely biological event. Cronin's assembly theory quantifies complexity and suggests that life emerges when matter organizes into objects that can persist, replicate, and evolve. This approach bridges the gap between inorganic chemistry and biology, offering a framework to understand how life could arise universally wherever conditions allow selection to operate. Cronin critiques the current methodologies used in the search for extraterrestrial life, which often focus on detecting Earth-like biosignatures, such as oxygen or water. He argues that these criteria are too narrow and may cause us to overlook life forms that do not fit our terrestrial template. Instead, he proposes looking for complexity at scale, patterns and structures that indicate selection and evolution, regardless of their chemical makeup. He also highlights the vastness of space and the limitations imposed by distance and time, which make direct contact or observation of alien civilizations unlikely. The universe's expansion and the causal limits of observation mean that even if life is abundant, it may be effectively invisible to us. This calls for a paradigm shift in astrobiology, where the focus moves from searching for familiar life to detecting complexity and evolutionary signatures in a broader chemical and physical context. When asked to envision life that is not carbon-based, Cronin admits that it is almost impossible to imagine the morphology or behavior of such life forms because our brains are wired to think in carbon-based terms. However, he offers a practical approach through assembly theory, which measures molecular complexity to distinguish biological from non-biological molecules. This theory allows scientists to identify signs of life by detecting complex molecules or structures that are unlikely to form through random processes. Cronin's approach sidesteps the need to recognize life by its appearance or chemistry alone. Instead, it focuses on the complexity and replication of structures, which are hallmarks of life, regardless of its elemental basis. This method could revolutionize how we search for life on other planets, enabling us to detect life forms that are chemically and morphologically alien to us. Addressing the idea that alien civilizations might be millions of years ahead of us technologically, Cronin acknowledges this as a possibility, but remains skeptical of popular narratives suggesting they are actively monitoring or manipulating humanity. He points out that the vast distances and timescales involved make such interactions improbable. Instead, he emphasizes that intelligence and technology are products of evolutionary processes that require time and specific conditions to develop. Cronin also notes that intelligence on Earth took billions of years to emerge, partly due to the planet's unique environmental challenges. This suggests that while advanced civilizations may exist, they are likely rare and separated by immense spatial and temporal gaps. His view encourages humility and patience in our search for extraterrestrial intelligence, focusing on understanding the processes that lead to intelligence rather than expecting immediate contact. Cronin offers a critical perspective on the hype surrounding artificial intelligence, AI, describing it as a big AI delusion. He argues that current AI systems, including large language models, do not possess true intelligence or agency. Instead, they function as probabilistic engines that compress and regurgitate information from vast datasets, primarily the internet. The apparent intelligence is an illusion created by pattern recognition and statistical correlations rather than genuine understanding or creativity. He warns that much of the AI hype is driven by commercial interests aiming to inflate stock values and market potential. Cronin stresses that AI lacks autonomy and that any deceptive or manipulative behavior attributed to AI is actually a reflection of human input and programming. This perspective calls for a more grounded and realistic understanding of AI's capabilities and limitations. While acknowledging that AI can generate novel combinations of existing data, Cronin distinguishes this from true human creativity. He explains that human intuition and imagination operate by integrating continuous, high-resolution environmental inputs that cannot be fully simulated by current computational models. Human creativity involves generating genuinely new ideas that are not mere interpolations of past data, but represent leaps into unknown conceptual spaces. Cronin describes intuition as a bridge between instinct and abstract reasoning, allowing humans to explore possibilities beyond algorithmic search. This capacity for open-ended creativity and imagination is currently beyond AI's reach. He challenges the notion that AI-generated outputs, such as poems or art, constitute genuine creativity, emphasizing the emotional and experiential dimensions unique to human creators. Delving into the nature of ideas and consciousness, Cronin admits that their origins remain profound mysteries, akin to the origin of life itself. He suggests that ideas emerge from complex interactions within the brain, which functions not merely as a digital computer, but as a dynamic, evolving system capable of simulating multiple futures and integrating past experiences. This capacity enables humans to generate novel concepts and engage in abstract thought. Cronin's assembly theory extends to consciousness by proposing that complexity and shared evolutionary history underpin our ability to communicate and empathize. He views consciousness as an emergent property of complex systems shaped by selection and lineage. This scientific framing offers a non-spiritual, yet profound way to understand phenomena like love, connection, and shared experience as products of evolutionary and chemical processes. One of Cronin's most ambitious goals is to recreate the origin of life in the laboratory by harnessing the principles of selection and assembly theory. He leads a team and a company, Chemify, focused on building hardware capable of exploring chemical space and synthesizing molecules on demand. This approach aims to experimentally demonstrate how lifelike complexity can emerge from inorganic chemistry under controlled conditions. The practical implications of this work are vast. Beyond advancing fundamental science, it could revolutionize drug discovery and materials science by enabling the design of novel molecules through embodied evolution. More philosophically, successfully creating life in the lab would deepen humanity's understanding of our place in the cosmos, fulfilling a spiritual and existential quest to know why we are here and how life arises. Cronin shares a visionary concept of engineering inorganic life forms, specifically self-replicating diamond-like entities that could capture atmospheric CO2 and sequester it by sinking to the ocean floor. This idea combines synthetic biology, materials science, and environmental engineering to create a novel carbon capture mechanism that could mitigate climate change while producing valuable materials. Though speculative, this concept exemplifies how understanding and harnessing the principles of life and selection could lead to transformative technologies. It also reflects Cronin's broader philosophy of spreading life and complexity throughout the universe, turning dead planets into living ecosystems and addressing planetary challenges through innovative chemistry.